What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and this is going to be my comprehensive analysis of Nott and what she brings to the table as a Dark Mythic unit. I'll be going over her builds as well as some of the sample maps that you could run using her in either raid's defense and how you could deal with her, and at the end I'll be having my Dark Mythic tier list. If you do end up enjoying, then make sure to use your Pathfinder to find like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate that, and with that said, let us begin. Nott is a 176 BST Lance Infantry unit who can provide you with a defense buff as her mythic boost, and she can also open up the 7th slot in either raid's defense, so she is a very relevant unit because of that. And we did have Seros as the 7th slot unit for the Anima season, and now we have got Nott for the Dark season. She comes with Rim Faxi as her weapon, and this is going to be giving her +3 speed, and at start of combat if she's above 25% HP, then she pretty much gets +5 to all of her stats, as well as the bonus doubler effect. And this weapon is pretty decent for her, but the main thing from this weapon is Pathfinder. So Pathfinder is extremely important for you to understand before you start using her. Pathfinder pretty much helps you extend the movement of your units. Like Dual Lift here should not be having this much range, but because of Pathfinder, it pretty much counts as 0 space moved if you pass through Nott. So in a sense, Dual Lift would have the same movement if he was in the place of Nott. So that's why Nott is going to be a really good unit to be used on the front line to just extend the movement of your cavalry units. And you're not really going to be able to get the same movement without Nott, and that's why she's such a good Dark Mythic unit because of Pathfinder, and much less because of her stats or even the bonus doubler primary effect of her weapon. But still, the bonus doubler effect is kind of relevant with attack speed menace that she comes with, so she can buff herself for attack and speed, and that can improve her offenses. So bonus doubler is pretty nice, especially if you have like odd recovery on your team, so you can just buff up Nott and she's going to be able to make full use of the bonus doubler effect in her weapon. She also has Distant Counter as a slot A skill, which is most of the time gonna be her best slot A option because it allows her to pretty much deal with stuff like peony, air, and any kind of ranged unit who might try to attack her. And Distant Counter is pretty good because she's quite fast, so she's not gonna be getting double that much. And she's also got Moon Twin Wing as her slot B skill, which is an exclusive skill. At start of combat, if Nott is above 25% HP, then she can inflict -5 attack and speed debuff on the foe during the combat, and she also gets the damage reduction, which is speed based. So this is really good because she doesn't really have to like replace the skill with anything else. She gets the damage reduction. Null follow-up of course could have been nice, but Dagger already has that, so she's gonna be not having that, and instead she's got the damage reduction, which is still decent, but most of the time people who are going to be facing your team are going to be having easy access to speed stacking with the help of Peony. So the damage reduction might not be in its full effect most of the time against very fast units which have got speed stacked, but still at the end of the day it's still a pretty nice and decent effect that she could utilize, and the in-combat debuffs are much appreciated with already the extra stats that she can get from her weapon. Attack Speed Menace is a new skill that she comes with, and this is pretty good if someone tries to put a tank in the range of your team, and she can just debuff them with this Menace skill and also buff herself, which is really good for pretty much getting the bonus doubler effect going on in her weapon. So Nott does boost the defense of your team if you are having any kind of Dark Blessed pick units along with her, and boosting defense is extremely relevant because Milla is a very common light mythic unit, and Milla checks defense for her isolation. So by boosting up the defense, dancers like Dancer Eldigan, Dancer Berkut, Dancer Xander can all be very strong options to deny any kind of isolation from Milla. And boosting up your defense is also really good because most offensive players are going to be using physically based units, and giving defense to your other defense units like maybe Dual Lift, Reinhardt is going to be proving to be pretty annoying for the opponent. So defense boost is absolutely amazing on Nott, and if Pathfinder was not enough, like her defense boost is just so invaluable, and it's going to be helping quite a lot in countering Milla and the isolation, and also just making your team really bulky. And people are going to be using physical mythic units like Air, Dagger, and Freya, so the extra defense does help against those kinds of units. And it also helps you against Gale Force because many times people are going to be trying to use Gale Force with Fallen Edelgard, Ninja Lin, Air, stuff like that, so the extra defense really comes into the play there. As for her stat spread, she's got really good offenses with 41 base attack and also 40 speed, and her bulk isn't the highest, but still it's kind of manageable with the damage reduction skill from her slot B, so she's not going to be the bulkiest unit, but still she's going to be decent for the most part. She also has super boons in her attack, speed, and resistance. In my opinion, speed super boon is the best one because like I said before, In Ether Raid's offense, many people are going to be trying to speed stack their units with peony and stuff like that. So increasing your speed just means that you're going to be able to get better damage reduction, prevent doubles, and also just naturally double a lot of the enemy's units. If you do get attack and resistance super boon, then it's not really all that bad, but speed super boon is going to be helping out the most. As for her builds are quite straightforward, and the first build is something which I'm running myself. So you could run reposition if you're running double Nott on your team, and that can help you just pull back the ranged units out of the threat range of the enemy. So that could be utilized, but many times without an assist skill, that is going to be helpful because she could move first and then just extend the movement of your cavalry units or your units in general. I'm using speed defense bond right now as it does help her with extra speed, and extra defense is always much appreciated. But you can also run stuff like deflect missile for ninja Lin, hardy bearing, distant guard, or even chill skills if you want to just support your team, or even support someone like Dancer Eldervi if you don't want to run Wagasa plus on him. So her sacred seals are quite flexible. You can also run Time Pulse and Cookin Pulse to have a pre-charged Ruptured Sky, or even just run an Infantry Pulse Dancer or a unit who can just pulse her down. And having that pre-charged Ruptured Sky can definitely be pretty annoying for a lot of the common Fallen Natal Guards. She's not going to be able to kill her, but still she can chunk a good amount of health from her compared to if she didn't have a pre-charged special. So this is always going to be a pretty decent option just for that extra pressure. Sturdy Impact and Odd Tempest is also an option if you do not use Legendary Secret with your team, because if you do use Legendary Secret, then you don't really need Odd Tempest. So this is pretty much assuming that you're running some kind of double Nott map, and you can use the Rally Trap from this Nott and then pretty much use the extra movement from Odd Tempest and be really threatening with Sturdy Impact. So that could be done on higher investments, and this is certainly an option, but you don't necessarily need this. We already see this kind of thing with Seros, and she can be, but Nott herself is also a melee range unit. She herself is not the biggest threat, just the Pathfinder is the biggest thing, which makes a lot of the teams really threatening. And if you do plus and merger, then she can be a really fantastic arena unit because she can score as a 185 BST unit thanks to having that 300 SP slot B skill. So she already comes with distant counter and attack speed menace, so that's already amazing. And her base kit alone at plus and merge is going to be helping you a lot in arena, especially Pathfinder 2. So in my opinion, Nott is definitely a worthy unit to get, especially right now when she's present on a banner that does have a spark mechanic. She's also going to be appearing in this month's legendary banner, but still trying to get her with the guaranteed spark summon is going to be the best way to go around the things, because it guarantees that you get her without really facing too much RNG. And Nott is going to be an extremely meta relevant unit and is definitely going to be impacting meta in just so many ways, and in really oppressive ways actually. So having her for your Ether Raid's defense team is going to be helping your dark defense a lot, which was lacking before her. Like, dark defense wasn't as strong as anima defense because light mythics in general were really good, but now things have changed and things have flipped actually, and I believe that dark defense is much more oppressive compared to anima defense. So if you want to use her in Ether Raid's defense, then I would suggest using any of these teammates. So these are pretty much her best teammates, and a lot of them are cavalry units, which makes sense because she just extends their movement, and cavalry units have the highest movement in the game, so they end up being the best units to be used in Ether Raids in general, and especially with Nott. And Legendary Secret is the biggest offender here because his special can give the extra movement to all of your allies, even ranged cavalry units, and that is just extremely oppressive. When you combine Legendary Secret and Nott, you just make such headache teams, and it's just so oppressive. So if you have Legendary Secret, then you can definitely slap these two together, and they're just gonna be bringing you some good results because they're just really annoying. You also have Dancer Secret who can help you with the Dancer Trap teams, and normal Secret can also work. For your ranged red units like Dual Lift and Legendary Lilina hit really hard. And on the free-to-play sides of things, Kemph and Eliwood are pretty good options. In my opinion, Kemph is a bit better because of his flash effect, and that could be useful against the save armors. Eliwood, in my opinion, has kind of fallen off. So out of this red category, Legendary Secret is the most broken one by far. For the blue color, Selena, in my opinion, is the best option because she can run that wind sweep build, and that is going to be helping you a lot against the far save armor units who are definitely going to be seen a lot now because Nott just promotes a really degenerate playstyle on Ether Raid's defense. So she can help you with Nott a lot against those far save armor units, more so than Reinhardt, but still Reinhardt is a free-to-play option. Ingrid is also quite decent with her fire sweep effect, and that can also be pretty annoying for the near save armor units that might try to go up against your team. Winter Burnie is always going to be pretty nice and powerful And you can also use Python and Wrath. Both of these are pretty good free-to-play options. Cecilia is actually a sleeper good unit on Ether 8's defense because she can deal with Brave Hector if you just run Lance Breaker on her. And she also deals with Air, Peony, and also Milla by just having the advantage against them. So Cecilia can be a really threatening unit at times. Bright Katria might seem a bit out of place of this graphic of just the cavalry units, but Bright Katria can actually be really threatening with the Otter's buff that you could get from her weapon, and also the triangle attack effect. Triangle attack a lot of times is probably not going to be possible depending on the AI movement, but still you could try to make a team that can utilize it. And Bright Katria in general is a pretty nice Ether 8's defense unit to enable the duo's hindrance structure. For the colorless units, like Flash plus Healer is going to be the best case scenario. Young Lorishil is a really good option because she hits just so hard, and she also has the flash effect from her weapon. I mean, she can not only inflict flash on multiple enemies, but the main tank who's going to be trying to get that is going to be getting affected by it. You could just run flash staff on like Nana or Brave Veronica and still work it out. Summer Mia is also an option with her damage reduction being quite annoying, but still you gotta watch out for the units who have quick riposte and stuff like that. So if you have any of these units in your barracks, then Nott is definitely going to be appreciating the support of them on your Ether 8's defense team. And now let's move on to some of the sample maps and how you could go about things for building up your map. So before we begin, just make sure to watch this video which I made for the 7-slot unit. It is going to be helping you just create dancer traps, and I'm not really going to be talking too much about dancer traps in this video because this video which I made before just covers it all, and it also brushes up the concepts of 7-slot unit and how you can use rally traps and the threat ranges in general. So make sure to watch this video, it will definitely help you make a good defense. So I'm personally using Nott on my Ether 8's defense team, which I've been running for months. You guys have seen that in my Ether 8's defense replays. So basically I've put Nott here to extend the range of my dual lift and also to overlap the ranges of Wrath and also dual lift, and to an extent Bramimond. So if like dual lift goes down, Nott can still go onto the defense tile because the AI does prioritize defensive tiles and Wrath can just get the extra movement. So it can be super annoying for the opponent, especially because the tactics room which I have, which is like the max level one, can be really annoying for many of the range units who are just getting stuck there. So at the end of the day, if you want to make a good Ether 8's defense team in current environment of the game, definitely try having some really oppressive range and try to limit the space that the opponent has so that they do not get any space to set up and do stuff. And that is the best way of going around things nowadays pretty much. So that is my experience. I'm running a dancer trap team with Nott, but if you just want to use Nott without a dancer trap, then here are some of the sample maps. This is pretty much a modified version of Sea Dolphin 13's map that they have used with double Nott, but here you can just use single Nott and have 3 cavalry units just beside her, and that can be really good for the overlap of the range. On the free-to-play side of things, Kempf can help you with the flash status, and you can also use stuff like Reinhardt and just use a bonus mythic, so this is pretty much going to be a triple mythic setup. And 2 dancers can help you, but Triandra can always be replaced with another threat that you want to use, and 1 dancer is still usable. On the right side, we have a less free-to-play friendly version with Legendary Sigurd, Selena, and Dual Lift. All of these are much bigger threats than the map which I have on the left, which is more free-to-play friendly. So this kind of map can be really threatening for a lot of people. Now keep in mind with this kind of team, you kind of have to leave some open space because you want your Kempf or Legendary Sigurd to move around. But if you're going to be using a range unit, then just block off your the starting space because you don't want the opponent to just charge in your team with their Gale Force units and stuff like that. So this is an option. This is not like fully optimal setup, but this is just to help you, start thinking about how you want to build up your defense with Nott. So this could definitely give you some ideas. And if you have summoned more than 1 Nott, then you can make some truly oppressive teams. And this is the map with Sea Dolphin 13 made when Dagger came out. So this is an option. The first one on the left is the free-to-play friendly one, and the second one is using a lot more threats. So this is pretty much a Nott cav line, and the amount of space these units can cover and also overlap with their ranges is really going to be making it hard for the opponent to tank them. So you can use stuff like Wrath, Reinhardt, Brave Veronica also helps, and Dancer Eldergi as it is going to be a really solid unit to just prevent any kind of isolation, and he's going to be isolation proof as it is with like double Nott. He's going to be having really high defense. So he just works out really well, and you pretty much have to block the bottom row because you don't want the opponent to just charge into your team with their Gale Force units. And this is definitely going to be punishing a lot of people who just stick with their Ether Raid's offense structures and they will not be having much space to run around. You can also make use of the version on the right side. It's definitely much more expensive using Dual Lift, Selena, Legendary Sigurd, and also Dancer Sigurd. So it's a very oppressive team because once Legendary Sigurd has triggered his special, then Mayhem is gonna commence because Dual Lift, Selena, Veronica can all just go to the opposite side of the map, even the right side of the map, pretty easily using the double note. And that is going to be extremely annoying for your opponent. So this is a very toxic setup if you do have the tools for it. And you have to leave an open space because Legendary Sigurd is going to be requiring that space to just attack. But this is also going to be opening up to the Gale Force strategies. But in general, stuff like Dual Lift is going to be pretty hard to Gale Force because he's going to be having a lot of defense. And Flash plus Healer is going to be helping you a lot with this kind of team in general in both of these maps because people are going to be bringing up far save armor units. So just inflicting them with the flash status is going to be rendering them useless because the armor units do not have access to null counter disrupt, which is really good. You can also use this version of a double note map and it pretty much utilizes the rally upscale for the rally trap with your other note. And this is Eldervi's map. I'm going to be linking their video in the description. They're absolutely amazing channel and you should definitely check them out and subscribe. And they're a friend of a channel, so definitely be sure to check this out. And the idea behind this team is quite clear, as you can see. You just use the rally trap, use the odd recovery to just get rid of the isolation, and you increase the movement of your cavalry units. You can also use Legendary Sigurd, of course, with this kind of team, and also make it really oppressive. So double note is an option, and do not merge up your note if you've got more copies of her, because you can definitely run some really degenerate stuff. And if you've got more than 2 notes, then here's the montage provided by Dolphin13 with their note cav line using 3 notes, and it's just truly horrifying to see because there's not much you can do. It's really hard to go against this team, but because having 3 notes can definitely just reduce the amount of threats that you have, even though you're increasing the threat range in a sense, because it just makes you more susceptible to far save. But still, you can definitely use Legendary Sigurd and the flash healers to just shut them down as well and give them a hard time. So yeah, note, as you can see, is going to be absolutely horrifying for the overall health of the game, and I still cannot believe they made this available for Ether Raid's defense, because it's just truly degenerate. So let's go over how you can deal with Note's chaos. So I've been playing and pushing my matches in Vault of Heaven, and I have faced a couple of maps with Note, so be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be uploading those Ether Raid's offense runs so you can see how I played against them. It largely depends on the kind of team you're going to be facing and the units you have yourself. But one basic idea I would just suggest everyone to do now is to only bring Escape Ladder, your Fortress, and your bonus structure. Please do not run any other structures because it will deprive you of the space that you can use on the bottom row of your team to just hide your units, and that is going to be a big factor in how you can survive against these teams because you want the space and these teams deny you the space. So making your space by not bringing a lot of Ether Raid's offense structure is going to be the way to go. I know it's going to be sucking for many people who have invested their resources into these Ether Raid's offense structures, but trust me, many times these are just going to be a liability for you, and many times it is going to be the reason you lose. So not bringing them is the answer, and just bringing the absolute bare minimum structures. Aggressive Gale Force strategies with Fallen Edelgard, Disarm Trap Ninja Lin, Air, Freya are also an option that you could utilize against these teams, but keep in mind some of the variants of these teams are going to be blocking like the bottom row with their structures like I showed before, so it is going to be a bit annoying at times, but still Gale Force is a pretty good strategy and quite timeless strategy honestly against these kinds of teams. If they do mix up like some kind of near save and far save armors, then of course it is going to be much annoying. But still, Gale Force can help you against certain teams where your other teams are not going to be helping you that much. Obstruct Sacred Seal is also an option, but if the opponent is using like 3 notes and like Legendary Sigurd and stuff like that, then you can still get sniped. But I guess Obstruct Sacred Seal is still a pretty, out of the box option that you could consider. And I've definitely seen some people mention this. Of course, far save and near save armor units are going to be a big help. Far save is going to be helping a lot because a lot of these teams are going to be having range cavalry units, so against them it helps a lot. So you have to watch out for the flash plus healers, and that's where the null counter disrupt units come into the play. So you could use near save and maybe use a null counter disrupt unit because a lot of these cav lines are going to be having flash plus healers, which are going to be really annoying for your far save units. But if you run infantry units with null counter disrupt and then support them with a near save armor unit, then that is a bit better. as they can protect against Nott, and then your main range unit with Null Counter Disrupt can help you against those annoying range cavalry units. So these are just the general tips that you can utilize with your gameplay, and facing a well-built Nott team is always going to be a pain, and you'll definitely have to spend a couple of minutes thinking how you want to break through their team. And now time for my Dark Mythic tier list, and I'll be ranking these Dark Mythics that we have in the game and which ones are the best ones. Obviously in the thumbnail I've already said that I think that Nott is the best Dark Mythic because of Pathfinder and the fact that she opens up the 7th slot, and also the fact that she provides defense, which is really good against Milla and countering isolation from her. So yeah, Nott is the queen of Dark Season, absolutely no doubts about that in my mind. And then the second Dark Mythic I would say is Bramimond. He's still pretty good because he can be a really annoying unit for a lot of the tanks because of his Slotsy skill, and he can have that auto double, and he can also provide the extra attack to your team. So still Bramimond is pretty nice, but he is not quite as degenerate as Nott. He's still quite degenerate though, don't get me wrong. And then we've got Triandra, aka the dancer who's always gonna get isolated if you do not have auto recovery, because there's just no way like Millas are not gonna be isolating her. But the good thing about Triandra is that even if she gets isolated, her offensive stat spread is just so good that she can often function as a nuke and still hit really hard. Providing extra speed is not as good as like giving defense or attack in my opinion, because like Dual Lift is not going to be using that extra speed that much, and like so many other units who rely on their auto follow-ups and stuff like that. But still, speed can be a good stat, especially if you're using someone like Selena, Windsweep units, and things of that nature. And then we've got Hel. So she also gives defense, but she is no Nott. But it's still worth noting that she can like checkmate a lot of teams with Mystic Boost. Like even a Plus and Fallen Edelgard can simply not kill Hel with Mystic Boost because the healing and the miracle is just really annoying. But still, most people are going to be having Peony or some kind of magic unit that they can just use to pop through Hel and go from there. But still, she can prove as a pretty annoying unit, but not quite as good as the top 3 Dark Mythics in my opinion. And at the end, in the last positions, we have got Yune and Sothis. Yune is still a flying mage, so she can utilize stuff like Sturdy Impact, but at the end of the day, even offensively, like Triandra is much better, and Triandra can also dance, so Yune just doesn't help that much. She can also provide you with the debuffs, and she can provide you with ground order support if you do run that. And then in the final position, we have Sothis. She just gives you +5 resistance, which is not as useful, because most of the attackers are going to be physically based. So Nott's extra defense is much more helpful, and her mythic boost is not really as significant, and Sothis herself is honestly too honest of a unit. She's not really degenerate like Nott, Bramimond, or anything else, but at the end of the day she's not going to be helping you as much as any of the other Dark Mythic units in my opinion. So let me know what you think about my Dark Mythic tier list. Do you agree with it? Do you have any changes with it? And make sure to share this video with your friends who are trying to make a new Ether Raids defense with Nott and they want to utilize Pathfinder, so they can definitely find a lot of useful information within this video. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their constant support, and if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as annoying as finding a legendary secret paired up with a Nott. So that's it, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.